Forgive in silence and walk away forever, not because they deserved your forgiveness, but because you deserve your peace. You don't always need to announce it, you don't always need to explain it, and you don't always need to prove it. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let go without an audience. There's a power in quiet forgiveness that words can't capture. When you choose not to fight back, not to clap back, not to get even, you are proving that your value is too high to be reduced to their level. People expect anger, they expect bitterness, they expect drama. What they don't expect is your silence, your strength, your ability to move on without leaving a trace of your pain behind. Walking away forever doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you lost. It means you recognized your worth and you understood that your future is too important to be tied to what broke you. Silence is not surrender. Silence is power. It says, I don't need to prove my healing to you. I don't need to prove my growth to you. I know who I am. Well, forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. It's so you can breathe again. It's so you can sleep without carrying the weight of grudges. It's so your heart can beat freely without chains of resentment holding it down. And when you forgive in silence, no one gets to take credit for your peace. That victory belongs only to you. The beauty of walking away forever is that it sets the stage for something greater. You don't walk away empty-handed. You walk away with your dignity, your lessons, and a deeper strength. Because sometimes the greatest closure you'll ever get is the one you give yourself by saying nothing, forgiving quietly, and choosing freedom over revenge. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. There is something sacred about choosing not to fight battles that aren't worth your energy. Life is too short to get caught up in cycles of blame, bitterness, and brokenness. You may think that speaking your pain out loud will bring you healing, but sometimes the real healing is found in the quiet, in the moments where you simply let go without needing the world to know what was done to you. That silence is not weakness. It is strength. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood choices we will ever face. People think it means excusing what someone did, making it acceptable, or pretending it never happened. But that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. It's about refusing to let their actions, their betrayal, or their disrespect have power over your future. Because the truth is, the longer you hold on to resentment, the heavier it becomes. It doesn't punish them, it poisons you. And silence is the proof that you don't need applause, you don't need validation, and you don't need anyone to understand why you let it go. You just did. There are moments in life where the best thing you can do for yourself is choose peace over explanations. Not everything requires closure in the form of conversations. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your healing. Sometimes you will find that your healing is most protected when you stop giving people access to your heart. That's why walking away forever is not about hate, it's about boundaries. You're not closing the door out of anger, you're closing it because your peace lives on the other side of it. And yes, walking away forever is hard. It goes against every part of us that wants to be understood, that wants to be heard, that wants someone to say, I'm sorry. But waiting for that moment can trap you in a prison. You could wait your whole life and never hear the words that your heart longs for. So you have a choice. Keep waiting for an apology that may never come, or take your power back and forgive quietly without needing a single word spoken in return. Forgiveness is freedom. It's looking at the pain, acknowledging it, and deciding, this will not define me. It's turning the page without needing anyone to read it with you. It's saying, I'm done carrying what broke me. I'm ready to carry what builds me. And in that silence, you are doing something powerful. You are breaking cycles. You are refusing to let bitterness be passed down into your future, your relationships, your children, or your dreams. You are choosing to stop the ripple of pain with you. Think about how many people waste years of their lives replaying the same wound, reliving the same betrayal, rehearsing the same anger. They hold grudges like trophies, not realizing they're only holding themselves hostage. You don't have to live like that. You can decide that silence will be your victory. You don't have to shout about your healing. You can live it. You don't have to post about your peace. You can embody it. When you forgive in silence and walk away forever, you create a new rhythm for your life, one that beats to the sound of freedom. There is wisdom in silence. There is dignity in walking away. Anyone can shout, anyone can argue, anyone can spend endless hours trying to prove a point. But it takes courage to stand tall, smile softly, and simply leave with grace. You don't have to slam the door, you just close it gently and never return. Because the more you grow, the more you realize that not everything deserves a response. Some people are not ready to receive your explanation. Some people will twist your words no matter how carefully you speak them. And some people simply don't care. That's why your silence is the loudest answer you could ever give. Walking away forever does not mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It doesn't mean you carry anger in your heart. In fact, it's the opposite. It means you've risen so high that you can release them without bitterness. It means you can look back without craving revenge. It means you've reached a level of maturity that says, I forgive you, but I won't sit at the same table with you again. That's not cruelty, that's self-respect. And here's the truth, not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people were only chapters, not the whole book. And when you try to force someone to stay beyond their chapter, you lose the story that was meant for you. Walking away forever makes space for new people, new opportunities, and new blessings. Sometimes the door has to close before the next one can open. And if you're too busy banging on the door of the past, you'll never see the one standing wide open in front of you. Forgiving in silence doesn't just free you, it confuses those who expected you to be trapped in anger. They thought you'd waste your time chasing explanations. They thought you'd be bitter forever. They thought you'd never rise. But when you forgive silently and move on, you're proving them wrong without ever having to say a word. Your healing becomes your proof. Your peace becomes your testimony. Your joy becomes your loudest response. It's not easy to walk away. Every part of you wants to look back, to justify, to explain, to make sure they understand how much they hurt you. But let me remind you, they probably already know. And if they don't, your explanation won't change them. That's why the power is in the quiet release. You forgive, you release, you rise. And you do it all without needing applause, without needing recognition, without needing anyone to see your scars. Because your healing is between you and God, between you and your soul, between you and your future. There's a saying that silence is golden, but in this case, silence is healing. Silence is closure. Silence is strength. When you forgive in silence, you take away their power. When you walk away forever, you protect your destiny. The combination of the two is unstoppable. It creates a version of you that is unshakable, untouchable, and unbothered. Remember this, forgiveness doesn't always come with reconciliation. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can forgive someone and still block their number. You can forgive someone and still cut off every access point to your life. That's not pettiness. That's wisdom. Forgiveness heals your heart, and walking away protects it. You need both. Without forgiveness, you stay bitter. Without walking away, you stay vulnerable. But when you forgive in silence and walk away forever, you're free, completely free. Freedom is the gift you give yourself when you no longer need them to fix what they broke. Freedom is waking up in the morning with no grudges sitting heavy on your chest. Freedom is going to bed at night without rehearsing the same argument in your mind. Freedom is living your life on your terms, not chained to what someone else did. And all of that begins with a decision: forgive in silence and walk away forever. Some will call it cold. Some will call it pride. Some will call it unnecessary. But you know the truth. It's necessary for your soul. It's necessary for your peace. It's necessary for your future. Because you cannot heal in the same place you were broken. You cannot grow in the same soil that poisoned you. You cannot expect light to shine where darkness still lingers. Walking away forever is the act of choosing better ground for your growth. The people who belong in your life will never put you in a position where you constantly question your worth. The ones who love you will not repeatedly break you. And if they did, and you forgave them, and they broke you again, that's your sign. That's your confirmation that the door needs to close for good. Forgive them quietly. Walk away permanently. Protect yourself intentionally. Someday, they may wonder why you never came back. Someday, they may realize what they lost. Someday, they may even try to return. But by then, your silence will speak for itself. Your distance will be your answer. Your peace will be your no. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to relive it. You've already moved on. And the beauty of it all, you'll find that life feels lighter. Your spirit feels calmer. Your future feels brighter because you did the brave thing. You forgave in silence and you walked away forever. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every wound needs to be displayed. And not every betrayal needs a response. There is a power in restraint, in choosing to rise above instead of engaging, in saying nothing when everything inside you wants to scream. The truth is, silence can be louder than words, and walking away can be the most powerful statement you ever make. We live in a world that teaches us to clap back, to prove our point, to get the last word. But what if your peace matters more than being right? What if the real victory is not in what you say, but in what you refuse to say? Forgiving in silence does not mean you're weak. It means you've grown strong enough to understand that closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. Walking away forever doesn't mean you lost. It means you valued yourself too much to stay in places that kept breaking you. Forgiveness is heavy. It's not simple, it's not quick, and it's not easy. Sometimes forgiveness feels like trying to heal while the wound is still bleeding. You want to hold on to the pain because it feels like the only evidence you have left of what happened. You want them to see, to acknowledge, to admit. But what if they never do? What if the words you've been waiting to hear, "I'm sorry," never leave their lips? Do you keep waiting, or do you move on? That's where forgiveness in silence steps in. You give yourself the closure they refuse to give. You take back the power by saying, "I don't need your apology to heal. I choose peace anyway." A walking away forever is not an act of revenge, it's an act of release. It's saying, "I've carried this weight long enough. I'm setting it down now." Some people will not understand your silence. They'll think you don't care. They'll assume you've forgotten. They'll imagine you've moved on too quickly. But they'll never know that silence was your loudest answer. They'll never realize that it took more strength to walk away quietly than to stay and fight for something that was already broken. Think of the relationships that drained you, the friendships that cut you deeper than enemies ever could, the promises that shattered in your hands. How many nights did you stay awake, replaying conversations, trying to figure out what you could have said differently? How many days did you spend explaining your pain to people who never truly cared to understand? That cycle will destroy you if you let it. That's why forgiveness in silence is so freeing. You no longer need them to see your scars because you've already decided those scars will not define you. Sometimes family will hurt you the most. Blood doesn't always mean loyalty, and when it comes from people who should have protected you, the pain cuts deeper. You feel torn because you want to forgive, but you also want to protect yourself. This is where walking away forever feels impossible. How do you walk away from family? But sometimes the only way to save yourself is to create distance. You can still forgive them quietly, love them from afar, and choose not to return to the same cycle. Silence is not rejection, it's preservation. Sometimes it's in friendships that betrayal hits hardest. You told them your secrets. You trusted them with your heart. You believed they would stand by you. And then one day, they weren't there anymore, or worse, they turned against you. That pain makes you want to shout, to call them out, to let everyone know how they hurt you. But silence can protect your dignity. When you walk away forever without bitterness, you prove that your character is stronger than their betrayal. Forgiveness in silence says, "You don't get to live rent-free in my heart anymore." And then there's love. Love that once felt safe. Love that once gave you butterflies. Love that turned into heartbreak. The person you thought would never hurt you became the one who hurt you most. You want to hate them. You want them to feel the pain they caused. But holding on to hate will keep you tied to them forever. Forgiving in silence and walking away is the only way to cut that cord completely. You don't need to slam the door. You just need to close it and never open it again. Because sometimes the loudest goodbye is the one that isn't spoken at all. Walking away forever doesn't mean you don't remember what they did. It doesn't mean you minimize it. It means you refuse to let it hold power over your future. You deserve a life that isn't weighed down by grudges. You deserve mornings where you wake up without bitterness burning in your chest. You deserve nights where you fall asleep without reliving arguments in your head. Forgiveness is not about forgetting, it's about refusing to relive the pain over and over again. Silence is wisdom. Not everyone deserves access to your side of the story. Not everyone needs to know what you endured. The people who truly care don't need the details, and the people who don't care will only use your words against you. So forgive in silence. Protect your peace. Don't explain, don't justify, don't rehearse your pain for an audience that isn't listening. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is smile, say nothing, and walk away with your head held high. Yes, people may judge your silence. They may assume you're cold, that you don't feel deeply, that you're unbothered. But silence doesn't mean you didn't care. Silence doesn't mean you weren't hurt. Silence means you cared enough about your future to let go of your past. Silence means you were hurt deeply, but you refused to let that pain turn you into someone bitter. Silence means you chose strength over revenge. Walking away forever will test you. You'll feel the urge to check back, to see if they miss you, to wonder if they regret losing you. But remember this, the same people who hurt you are rarely the ones who will heal you. Their validation won't erase the pain, and their apology may never come. Your healing has to come from within. And when you forgive in silence, you free yourself from needing their words. When you walk away forever, you free yourself from needing their presence. Your silence is not emptiness. It's full of wisdom, dignity, and power. Your walking away is not abandonment. It's self-respect, self-preservation, and self-love. People will only understand the depth of your decision if they've walked through the fire themselves. Until then, let them misunderstand you. Let them assume. Let them talk, because your peace is worth more than their opinion. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks your freedom, and silence is the door that guards it. When you forgive in silence, you let go of chains. When you walk away forever, you refuse to pick them back up. That combination creates a life that is lighter, freer, and unshakable. You're not defined by what they did. You're defined by how you rose above it. You didn't just survive, you overcame. You didn't just let go, you chose peace. And as you move forward, you'll find that the silence you once thought was empty is actually full of clarity, full of healing, full of strength. The more you forgive in silence and walk away forever, the more room you create for joy, love, and peace to enter your life. Because when one chapter closes quietly, another one opens beautifully. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. There is a reason silence is feared by those who try to manipulate you, a reason walking away unsettles those who once took your presence for granted. Because when you stop arguing, when you stop trying to explain, when you stop giving them the power of your words, they realize they no longer have access to your energy. Silence is not the absence of power. It is the presence of it. Walking away forever is not about defeat. It is about reclaiming everything they thought they could steal from you. Life will hand you moments where your only two options are to fight or to free yourself. Fighting feels good for a moment. It gives you adrenaline. It makes you feel heard. But in the long run, it drains you. It ties you to the very thing you're trying to escape. That's why freedom is found in forgiveness. Not forgiveness shouted from rooftops, not forgiveness broadcasted for applause, but forgiveness spoken quietly in your heart. The kind no one else sees, the kind no one else needs to validate. Forgiving in silence is the act of releasing yourself from invisible chains. Think about how many people are stuck reliving the same pain because they never learned the art of letting go. They replay conversations in their minds, rehearse comebacks they'll never say, write letters they'll never send. And while they're busy holding on, life is passing them by. Opportunities are slipping through their fingers. Joy is sitting on the other side of their bitterness, waiting for them to let go. But they can't because they think holding on will somehow punish the person who hurt them. The truth, it never punishes them. It only imprisons you. Forgiving in silence is not a gift to the one who wronged you. It's a gift to yourself. It's telling your soul, you don't have to carry this anymore. Walking away forever is the second gift, the one that says, and you'll never have to again. Together, these choices create a shield around your future. You no longer spend your energy looking back. You no longer spend your nights fighting ghosts. You are free to build, to grow, to love again. Picture this: someone at work constantly undermines you. They gossip, they twist your words, they sabotage opportunities. Every fiber of your being wants to confront them, to expose them, to prove them wrong. But what if the most powerful response is not confrontation? What if the most powerful response is to excel in silence, to rise above quietly, to walk away from their toxicity without ever lowering yourself to their level? That silence will echo louder than any confrontation. That success will speak louder than any argument. Or imagine the friend you trusted with everything, the one who knew your secrets, only to find they shared them carelessly. Betrayal from a friend stings deeper than from a stranger. Your instinct is to let the world know how false they were, to reveal their mask. But when you forgive in silence and walk away forever, you don't just protect your dignity, you protect your future friendships. Because you prove to yourself that one person's betrayal doesn't define your capacity to trust. You prove that your peace matters more than exposing their deceit. And what about love? The kind of love that turned into heartbreak. The partner who promised forever but walked away when it mattered most. You feel abandoned, humiliated, broken. You want them to hurt the way you hurt. You want them to see what they lost. But clinging to revenge binds you to them even longer. When you forgive in silence and walk away forever, you reclaim your worth. You're no longer waiting for them to notice your value. You already know it. You no longer need them to regret losing you. You've already chosen to gain yourself back. Forgiveness does not mean allowing them back into your life. You can forgive and never return. You can forgive and still keep your distance. You can forgive and still decide that the season you shared is over. Forgiveness is an internal decision. Walking away forever is an external boundary. Together, they protect your heart. Together, they preserve your destiny. It's not easy. The silence will feel heavy at first. The distance will feel strange. You'll miss the noise, even if the noise was chaos. But in time, that silence becomes peace. That distance becomes healing. You begin to see that walking away forever wasn't about losing them. It was about finding you. And once you taste that freedom, once you feel that weight lift, you'll wonder why you ever held on so long. Some people won't understand your choice. They'll call you cold. They'll say you gave up too soon. They'll whisper that you changed. And they'll be right, you did change. You changed because you finally chose yourself. You changed because you realized your peace is worth more than their opinion. You changed because you understood that forgiveness in silence and walking away forever is not selfish, it's survival. You may never hear the apology. You may never see the remorse. You may never get the closure you think you deserve, but you will get peace. You will get strength. You will get freedom. And those are worth more than any words they could ever say. Closure doesn't come from their lips, it comes from your decision. Someday you'll look back and realize silence was the loudest answer you ever gave. Walking away forever was the bravest step you ever took. And forgiveness, the kind no one saw, no one clapped for, no one celebrated, that forgiveness was the purest form of love you ever gave yourself. And in that, you'll find the healing you were searching for all along. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. There will be times in life when your heart will ache to defend itself, when your pride will beg for one last word, when your anger will scream for revenge. But silence will always be stronger. To forgive in silence means you have already decided that your peace matters more than their punishment, your future matters more than their opinion, and your growth matters more than their approval. Walking away forever is the finishing step. The moment you finally close the chapter and stop rereading the same painful pages. There's a kind of courage that doesn't come with shouting, a kind of strength that doesn't come with winning arguments. It's the kind that comes when you're able to keep your dignity intact while everything inside of you wants to explode. The kind that comes when you decide not to let anyone drag you back into the chaos you've outgrown. Forgiving in silence is not about saying they were right. It's about saying you won't let them control you any longer. Walking away forever is not about running. It's about refusing to stay in a place that stunted your growth. People often confuse forgiveness with weakness. They think silence means you couldn't stand up for yourself, that walking away means you quit. But what they don't realize is how much strength it takes to hold your tongue when your heart is burning, how much courage it takes to leave behind what once felt safe, how much wisdom it takes to value peace over pride. Forgiveness in silence is not weakness, it is maturity. Walking away forever is not quitting, it is choosing a better beginning. Life will test you with people who betray your trust. A friend who takes your loyalty and twists it into gossip. A partner who takes your love and shatters it into pieces. A colleague who takes your work and claims it as their own. Every betrayal tempts you to fight, to expose, to retaliate. But not all fights are worth fighting. Some are traps meant to keep you small. That's why the wisest thing you can do is forgive quietly, walk away permanently, and leave them wondering how you found peace without them ever hearing another word from you. Silence does not mean you're blind to what happened. Silence means you saw it all and still chose peace. Silence doesn't mean it didn't hurt. It means the pain taught you something, but it won't control you. Silence is the answer that leaves people unsettled because they can't twist it. They can't argue with it. They can't diminish it. And when that silence is followed by you walking away forever, it speaks louder than any words ever could. There's something sacred about walking away without slamming the door. No dramatic exits, No long speeches, no final arguments, just a quiet decision to never return. It's a kind of closure that only you can give yourself, and sometimes it's the only closure you'll ever get. People may never admit what they did. They may never feel sorry. They may never realize the pain they caused. Waiting for them to change is waiting for a day that may never come. Walking away forever is saying, I don't need your change to start mine. Forgiveness doesn't erase memory. You'll remember what they did. You'll remember the lessons it taught you. But forgiveness removes the sting. It's no longer an open wound. It's a scar that reminds you of how strong you became. Silent forgiveness transforms anger into wisdom, and walking away forever transforms loss into freedom. That's why they go hand in hand. One heals your heart, the other protects it. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You replay the mistakes, the times you stayed too long, the warnings you ignored, and you beat yourself up for not seeing it sooner. But forgiveness in silence must also extend to yourself. You cannot walk away forever while still carrying guilt from the past. You must forgive yourself for trusting, for loving, for giving. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And forgiving yourself quietly allows you to step into a new season without shame weighing you down. The world we live in celebrates loudness. Loud arguments, loud opinions, loud exits. But real healing is often quiet. It's the night you cry and finally let go. It's the morning you wake up and realize you don't feel the anger anymore. It's the afternoon you pass by a place that once haunted you and feel nothing at all. That's forgiveness in silence at work. It's invisible to others, but deeply powerful within you. Walking away forever is not always about people. Sometimes it's about habits, cycles, environments. Maybe it's walking away from the version of yourself that tolerated disrespect. Maybe it's walking away from the patterns that kept you in toxic relationships. Maybe it's walking away from the doubts that told you to settle. Forgiveness in silence also means forgiving the old you, the one who didn't know better, the one who tried, the one who failed but kept going. And walking away forever means never returning to the chains you've already broken. There will be moments when silence feels unbearable, when you want to pick up the phone, send the message, demand the explanation. But remind yourself silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. Space for healing, space for new beginnings, space for peace. And when you've walked away forever, you'll begin to see what that silence made room for. Joy that isn't tied to anyone else, love that doesn't come with conditions, freedom that doesn't need permission. The ones who hurt you may expect you to come back. They may wait for your anger to fade, assuming silence means hesitation. But one day they'll realize silence was your answer all along. They'll realize that walking away forever meant the door is no longer cracked open. And by then, you won't need them to understand. You won't need them to see. You'll be too busy living in peace to look back at the storm you left behind. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. Because your life is too precious to waste in battles that steal your peace. Your future is too bright to be dimmed by grudges. Your heart is too valuable to be chained to pain. And your soul is too free to be held hostage by the past. Forgive in silence and walk away forever. Because nothing steals your energy faster than holding on to bitterness. It gnaws at you in ways people can't see. It takes your joy, your focus, your peace. You think you're punishing them by refusing to let go, but in reality, you're only punishing yourself. That's why forgiveness has to happen, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. And freedom doesn't always come with a loud announcement. Sometimes it's a quiet decision in the privacy of your own heart. Sometimes it's a choice nobody else even knows you made. Forgiveness is personal. It's not a social event. It's not a performance. It's not for claps or validation. It's between you and your soul. It's between you and your God. And when you forgive in silence, you strip it of pride, you strip it of ego, and you strip it of the temptation to use it as leverage. You don't forgive to prove you're better. You don't forgive to look holy. You forgive because you're tired of dragging chains that were never meant to be yours to carry. And then comes the walk away forever. That's the step many people stumble on because silence is hard, but leaving is harder. We tell ourselves, maybe it'll get better. Maybe they'll change. Maybe if I give more time, it won't hurt as much. But deep down, you know when the season has ended. You know when the damage is beyond repair. And the longer you stay, the deeper the wound becomes. Walking away forever isn't abandoning them. It's saving yourself. Some people you'll have to forgive without ever hearing an apology. That's the hardest truth. They may never own what they did. They may never recognize your pain. They may even act as if nothing happened. And that's where your silent forgiveness becomes your shield. It reminds you that their inability to admit their wrongs is not your responsibility. Their lack of remorse is not your burden to carry. You forgive them anyway, not to restore what was lost, but to restore what was broken in you. Walking away forever doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you carry venom in your heart. It means you've reached a point where you finally understand that peace is worth more than proximity. That love doesn't mean tolerating abuse. That loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. Walking away is the art of choosing yourself without apology. Think about how much lighter your life becomes when you no longer waste energy defending yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Think about the strength you gain when you stop chasing closure from those who enjoy watching you bleed. Think about the peace that floods in when you finally decide that silence is the loudest message you'll ever deliver. They can't twist your silence. They can't argue with your silence. They can't manipulate your silence. And when silence is paired with distance, it becomes permanent freedom. Forgive the friend who betrayed you, not because it didn't hurt, but because you refuse to let betrayal define you. Walk away forever, not because you didn't love them, but because you love yourself too much to stay where trust has been shattered. Forgive the partner who broke your heart, not because they deserve another chance, but because you deserve another chapter. Walk away forever, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about your future to keep reliving the past. Forgive the family member who cut you deep, not because blood makes it right, but because bitterness makes it worse. Walk away forever, not because you stopped loving them, but because love without respect is poison. And yes, you'll be tempted to look back. You'll wonder if you did the right thing. You'll miss the good memories, the laughter, the comfort of what once was. But remember this, every time you look back, you risk re-entering a cycle you've already been freed from. The same hands that hurt you before are not the hands that will heal you now. The same place that broke you before is not the place where you will be rebuilt. Walking away forever means you accept that healing won't come from where you were hurt. It will come from where you choose to go next. There is a peace that comes the moment you realize you don't need to explain yourself anymore. You don't need to defend why you forgave. You don't need to justify why you left. You don't need to convince anyone that you did the right thing, because your peace is proof. Your joy is proof. Your freedom is proof. The very fact that you can breathe again without heaviness in your chest is proof. The truth is, the people who really care about you don't need explanations, and the people who demand explanations won't be satisfied no matter how many you give. That's why silent forgiveness protects you. That's why walking away forever keeps you safe. Because not everyone deserves access to your healing. Not everyone deserves to witness the most sacred work happening in your soul. Some things belong only to you. The world might tell you to stay loud, to make sure they know they lost, to burn bridges dramatically. But burning bridges wastes fire. Fire is for light. Fire is for warmth. Fire is for building something new. Silence is how you leave a bridge behind without destruction. Walking away forever is how you make sure you never cross it again. And maybe one day, they'll realize what they did. Maybe one day, they'll regret it. Maybe one day, they'll even try to come back. But by then, your silence will still be speaking. Your distance will still be your answer. And your life will be so full, so free, so healed that you won't even need to respond. Forgive in silence. Walk away forever. Because in doing so, you don't just survive what hurt you, you rise above it. You don't just move on, you transform. You don't just let go, you grow. And in the end, that growth will speak louder than any revenge, any argument, or any explanation ever could. So when the weight of betrayal, disappointment, or heartbreak tries to pull you back, remember this truth: you don't need to fight for closure, you don't need to beg for understanding, and you don't need to prove your worth to anyone who couldn't see it. Forgive them quietly for the sake of your own soul, and then walk away forever with the strength of someone who finally chose peace over pain. Because the loudest answer you'll ever give, the strongest move you'll ever make, and the greatest freedom you'll ever feel will come from that silent forgiveness and that final step away. Your future is waiting. Don't waste it looking back.